Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm going to show you how to build this Greek Astraeos blacksmith. It has plenty of space for your tames to be parked, or to just have a work area with some forges all around and some storage. It has one main building which is a little bit taller, so you can easily have an industrial forge inside. It has a little shed to the side that you can have some other forges or storage, or maybe some smaller creatures. It has a hallway that you can use for storage, and of course a small home that you could use for your own living room or your bedroom, but also of course for even more storage if you need to. If you enjoy seeing these videos and you want to see more, make sure to like the video, of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course feel free to leave suggestions for future builds down in the comments below. This is a relatively simple build to do. You can definitely do this on official. All you really need is the Astraeos custom cosmetics, as well as the frontier skins from the Bob Telltale DLC, although you could definitely replace that with like normal wood or a different wood skin that you like to use. And of course, as always, we're going to start with the foundations, and we want to go 7 in total for the first layer. Then around the corner, this is going to be 2 wide. Then we're going to go in by 1 and add 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we can go back out and we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then around this side, it's going to be 9 in total. So we're just going to continue until we get over here. And then this side is going to be 8 in total. So we kind of just want to bring it all the way along until right over here, and then we can fill in this one. That's the entire shape of foundations. Then what you'll need is some stairs. You want to have stairs right there as a way to enter the little work area, and then this is going to be another place for the stairs. And then of course the rest of this shape, we can start filling in the entire layer of foundation so that we can start focusing on the build. So basically this will include the buildings themselves, as well as a little bit of like a courtyard or workplace on the outside, just a little area where you could easily have some extra storage or your tames or whatever. All right, then it's time to take out some pillars. We're going to start in this corner right over here, and we're going to go up by 3 in total, then leave a gap of 4 and have another pillar going up. We also want to make sure to connect these pillars back into the ground. On this side, we also want to leave a gap of 4, add in 3 more pillars, also connected to the ground, and then of course another gap of 4, and add the 3 pillars in here as well. Then over here at this side where we have the stairs, we want to go 1 in and then have 1 pillar there, connected back, and another pillar right over there. As for this other corner right over here, we want to go up by 2 and of course connect it to the ground. And then over here, we want to have another pillar of 2. So it's a gap of 3, pillar of 2. And then here on this side, after 3 again, we want to connect the pillar to the ground and make it 2 high. And then 3 in from this one, we also want to add in 2 pillars, right like this. Then we can take out our beams and we can actually connect it through the sides here. You can follow the entire side of the building all the way around, just like that. We can also have them over here, as well as over there. We leave this gap open, that's going to be a door. For this building, we can also do that. We can have a beam connecting here, so we create this little hallway in between. And then over here at the front, we can leave that completely open for now. And then we can actually turn all these pillars into the frontier skins, because they really give a nice contrast with the Astraeos skins and just really make everything pop. So we want to just quickly change all of these skins to the frontier ones. Because yeah, it's just going to stand apart this way. There we go. All the way through and around. Here for this little side addition, we can actually also connect the beams, and then we can also change them, of course. So just like this, and then this one, and there we go. That's the basic structure of the build. Now the front of this building is going to be quite easy. We're going to have 3 walls going up like this, and then 3 walls here on the other side. We can then add a gateway in the middle, as well as the actual gate. Then here on this side, we want to make sure that we add the door in here. And then for the rest of the wall, we can actually just completely fill this one in. So it's quite simple. For the other two walls, we want to actually only fill in the first two layers of the wall. So just like this around the corner. And then we want to change to the windows and add them on top of here. So we'll just go all the way around. And then, of course, we can also actually add in the windows themselves, as well as, of course, the door over there. And then it's time to start with the roofs. First of all, we're going to add 2 quarter ceilings there and 2 over there. We're going to do this, of course, on both sides of the building. So we want to add these in. And then in between, we want to have all full ceilings. On official, you could actually just use full ceilings everywhere to save some space, but these snap points are needed if you have collisions enabled. Once we have this, we actually want to make sure that we have beams going across from one side to the other. We're going to do the same thing, of course, here at the front of the building, continuing this all the way like this. And we want to change these beams to the frontier skin, as well as these ceilings that we've just added. And we want to go all the way across and do this on both of the sides of the building, of course. There we go. Then we can take out some quarter walls. We want to add 2 over here, 2 over there. Same thing on the other side of the building. And we want to have some walls in the middle of that. And then we can start adding in or sloped walls just like this to get the shape of the roof in place. It's going to look a little bit weird until you start skinning in it, of course, but it is going to be worth it, because if you use the third variant, we can make it into the nice slopes that we like for the Greek build. So we'll just continue this all the way through. Then we want to take out our ramps, and then on official, you just want to snap it like this and have a full ramp on the outside as an overhang. But if you do have collisions enabled, you can actually add the ramp over here, and we can connect it all the way through to the other side, and then we can just continue this and fill in the entirety of the roof from one side to the other. Same thing over here. We'll just bring it back down all the way, and that's why we added these quarter pieces for the extra snap point for the overhang. So that's why you only need it if you have collisions enabled, because otherwise you can't really do anything. And then here on the top, we want to also make sure that we add a beam across the top of the roof. We can then, of course, change that to the frontier skins. That's one part of the build done. This is quite a big room, ideal for like a big furnace if you want to have your industrial forge in here, maybe some more crafting and storage, whatever you want to do with the build. But that's kind of the way it's designed. Then here at the back, it's actually quite easy. We just want to fill in those walls. And here on this side, we also just want to fill in the walls all the way through. Then over here, we actually want to make sure that we have a layer of these quarter walls going from one side to the other. And underneath, we're going to add in our slope walls. We're going to turn those into the second variant so that we get a nice curve here and a little hallway that you could definitely use for some additional storage. Then here at the back, we just want to fill in the first layer of the walls. Here in the middle, we want to fill one in, and then we want to make this shape. And then here at the front, we want to continue this wall from one side to the other on the top layer. We want to switch to the windows, and we want to add in windows over here and windows in these corners. We can have a normal wall there in the middle too. Then we can have some quarter walls here on the sides of the building. We can have a small normal doorway right there, and then we can have a window right next to it. And of course, we can make sure that we add in all the windows and the doors. Then we're going to take out all quarter ceilings and go alongside the front to create a little lip over here. We're going to do the same thing here on the opposite side of the building, all the way along the edge. And then we can create these nice lips with some frontier skins. So we want to change all of this all the way through. Then we want to have 4 of these quarter walls in the middle. Same over here, just like this. We want to have a slope wall there and then create this shape all over. And we want to do the same thing there on that part of the roof. And then, of course, once again, the third variant is going to give us the right slope for this roof. Now we want to start over here, and for official you're just going to start filling in these roofs and end right over here. But on unofficial, if you can do collisions, you want to have these ones at the end first, so that we have once again a very tiny overhang. On official you could instead of course just do a full overhang if you really want the overhang. But yeah, we have to kind of overlap and have some collision on that part. But for the rest of the roof, we can just easily fill it in like normal without too many issues. And then we'll just follow the entire shape along for all these sides. Now, one thing I will note, there is technically a little gap here. Of course, if you do have collisions, you might be able to fill in this spot. I don't think it will allow you to do that on official, so you'll just have to live with that tiny little gap that might remain. And then here on the top of the roof, of course, we want to make sure that we add in our beams going from one side to the other. And of course, we want to turn those into the Frontier variant. We want to also add one full wall right over here. Then we want to switch to the double doors, go through like this. And these door frames, we're actually going to change into the Frontier skin just like this. Then we're going to add in our doors, and we're going to also use the third variant on these doors to create those nice little grates. This wall over here, we can turn into the Frontier skin. And then we can actually go along the side with some quarter ceilings like this. On the other side, we want to do this as well. Now, this is going to slightly line up with the door, but I mean, it's something you'll have to live with. It's minor, and if you open it to the inside, there's nothing going on. And then we can have a nice little layer of the Frontier skins for both of these, just so that we can create a little roof for this little side shed for like some storage, or maybe some small forges here, or park small tames, whatever you want. Once again, we have a slight issue here. You could, of course, get this to overlap if it allows you, but otherwise you can leave that one out. And then for the rest, of course, we want to just fill in this roof just like this on official, and on unofficial settings you can once again do the little overhang like that. And we just want to fill this in all the way through. And of course, on the top we want to have our beams going across. Change those to the Frontier skin. And that already kind of creates the main building. Then we, of course, want to have some railings in certain spots. So we want to have railings around the entire compound to kind of make sure that it's all nicely lined off. So we just want to go around and add all of these in. And if you want to, you could even add in some pillars like this to kind of add a little bit more details. And one here as well, and then maybe one over there. And then of course we can change the railings and these pillars into the Frontier skin, so that we keep that nice contrast going along the entire build. And then for the rest of all these structures, of course, you basically want to start changing them to the different Astraeos skins. It's quite easy. I mean, the roofs, you want to have the third variant on the end if you want the little details. So just like this. And then the second variant for the other parts of the roof. For these, I would add in the third variant right over here. Second variant or first variant over there. And then here the walls you can just build up logically. So you can go 1, 2, and 3. Or whatever you think looks nice. For my actual build, it turned out like this. So yeah, it's quite straightforward with the skins. First variant, second variant. These are the second variant as well. These flowers quite nice. And then again, just want to logically build up these walls. So nothing too crazy or fancy with the skin combinations. But I do think you get a really cool looking blacksmith or a little base with a workshop or a little courtyard right in front where you have a decent amount of space. Now you can of course do this without any mods. You only need the Astraeos custom cosmetics. But if you take a look at this build, you can see some extra items. I've used JVH landscaping for the plants around the build. We have used some Roman custom cosmetics for some additional skins on some of these structures. We've used visual storage. We've got a castle deco mod. We got the dwarven forge here, which is actually now also a skin, I think, for the industrial forge. So you could change that if you wanted to. But yeah, we got a bunch of little extra details to just kind of decorate the place, but definitely not necessary. And then I haven't done the interiors yet, except I've got like a big industrial forge here with the Amisa custom cosmetic, and I've got some like visual storage in here. But yeah, definitely a decent amount of space. You can have some more storage in the hallway, and then you have your build over here that I have not done much with, but you have a nice cozy little house to use as well. So yeah, quite a nice little base to use early on, or just as an extra addition to your Greek base or Greek town builds. There we go. That's going to be it for today's build tutorial. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you again in the next video or stream. For now, goodbye.